Seducing women is often misunderstood because people think it is about tricks, lines, or tactics you memorize and deploy like weapons. That is the first mistake. Seduction is not something you do to someone, it is something that happens when your internal world quietly rearranges the external one. Women do not fall for effort, they fall for certainty. They do not chase logic, they respond to emotion. And emotion is controlled by perception, not truth. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. People are ruled not by reality, but by what reality appears to be. The moment you try to convince a woman to like you, you have already lost. Convincing signals weakness. Desire only flows toward what does not need permission. Attraction is not built through asking, explaining, or proving. It is built through restraint, silence, and self-control. The strongest position you can ever occupy in any interaction is the one where you are not trying to gain anything. When you remove need, you remove pressure. And when pressure disappears, curiosity appears. Most men broadcast hunger without realizing it. They lean forward too fast, they reply too quickly, they over-explain, they over-invest. Every one of these behaviors communicates the same message. I need this outcome. Machiavellian psychology teaches that need is visible, and whatever is visible can be exploited or ignored. A woman may enjoy attention, but she rarely respects desperation. Respect is the soil where desire grows. Without it, attraction dies quietly. The real game is not about getting her to want you. It is about becoming the kind of man whose absence is felt. Scarcity is not created by playing games or disappearing randomly. It is created when your life is full, directed, and grounded in something beyond her validation. When your time feels valuable even to you, it becomes valuable to others. People chase what seems to be moving forward without them. Control of emotion is the cornerstone of dark psychology. Not suppression, but mastery. When you remain calm while others react, you dominate the emotional frame. Women are deeply attuned to emotional stability. A man who does not flinch, who does not rush to defend himself, who does not collapse under silence or uncertainty, creates a sense of safety mixed with intrigue. That combination is powerful. Chaos attracts attention, but stability commands trust. Mystery is not created by hiding information. It is created by not volunteering it. When you speak less, people listen more. When you explain less, they imagine more. Imagination is always stronger than reality. Machiavelli warned that people fill silence with their own assumptions. Let them. Often their assumptions will work in your favor if you do not rush to correct them. Power dynamics shift the moment you stop seeking approval. Approval-seeking behavior places the other person above you psychologically. Seduction requires equality or dominance, never submission. This does not mean arrogance or cruelty. It means self-respect. You can be polite, warm, and present without shrinking yourself. The man who can walk away without anger or drama holds the strongest position in the room. Women test not to reject, but to evaluate. Tests are not obstacles, they are invitations. Emotional reactions fail tests. Calm amusement passes them. When you do not take things personally, you demonstrate inner strength. Machiavellian strategy is not about control through force, but influence through composure. The man who cannot be shaken cannot be controlled. Desire grows in space, not proximity. Over-availability kills attraction because it removes uncertainty. Uncertainty creates tension. Tension creates thought. Thought creates emotional investment. When a woman starts thinking about you when you are not present, the seduction has already begun. You did not chase her mind, you gave it room to wander. Validation should flow selectively. When you give approval too easily, it loses value. When your praise is rare and sincere, it carries weight. People crave what they have to earn. This is not manipulation, it is human psychology. Even self-respect works the same way. You value yourself more when you keep standards. The dark truth Machiavelli understood is that people do not want equality in desire. They want polarity. They want someone who leads emotionally, who is grounded when they are unsure, who remains steady when emotions rise. Leadership in attraction is quiet. It is not loud dominance, but calm direction. Seduction collapses the moment you make it about sex. The moment you aim for an outcome, you contaminate the process. Women sense intention faster than words can hide it. The man who is comfortable without needing anything creates a paradox. His lack of pursuit becomes his strongest pursuit. In the end, seduction is a reflection, not a performance. Women mirror the emotional state you bring. If you bring calm, confidence, and purpose, they feel it. If you bring insecurity masked as effort, they sense that too. Machiavellian dark psychology is not about deceiving others. It is about mastering yourself so thoroughly that others respond without being asked. The trick is simple, but not easy. Remove need, control emotion, respect yourself first. Let silence do the heavy lifting, and understand this final truth. The man who is hardest to seduce is the one most people end up chasing. Another mistake men make is believing confidence is something you show. Confidence is something others feel when they are around you. It lives in your pace, your pauses, your comfort with silence. A man who rushes words is trying to fill a gap. A man who pauses owns the space. Silence is not emptiness. It is pressure. And pressure, when controlled, becomes attraction. People reveal themselves when they feel safe, and safety is created by emotional neutrality. When you react too strongly, whether positively or negatively, you give away control. Machiavelli taught that the person who governs their own reactions quietly governs the room. A woman watching you stay centered while emotions fluctuate unconsciously assigns you authority. Authority is seductive because it promises direction. Most seduction fails because men attempt to perform a version of themselves rather than embody one. Performance collapses under time. Embodiment deepens. You cannot fake consistency. A woman may be impressed by charisma for a moment, but she commits emotionally to reliability of presence. The man who is the same in silence as he is in conversation creates trust without asking for it. Attention is currency. Spend it carefully. When you give full attention, give it briefly but fully. When you withdraw and withdraw cleanly. Half presence confuses, but clean presence followed by absence creates clarity. Clarity forces reflection. Reflection fuels desire. People rarely miss what never fully leaves, but they always feel the absence of something that was once complete. Emotional discipline separates boys from men. When something does not go your way, your response reveals your level. Anger reveals entitlement. Sadness reveals dependency. Calm acceptance reveals strength. Machiavellian psychology favors the man who treats loss and gain with equal composure. Indifference to outcome does not mean lack of desire. It means abundance of self. Women are drawn to men who are internally ordered. Oh, chaos may feel exciting at first, but it becomes exhausting. Stability is rare. Rarity increases value. When your words align with your actions, when your boundaries remain consistent, when your emotions do not swing wildly, you become predictable in the best way. Predictability at the core allows mystery at the edges. Do not confuse mystery with deception. Deception requires effort. Mystery exists naturally when you do not overshare. Your past does not need to be explained. Your future does not need to be promised. Stay present. Stay present. The present moment is where attraction lives. When you anchor yourself there, others follow. A powerful man does not rush intimacy. He lets it develop at its own pace. Speed signals anxiety. Patience signals confidence. When you are comfortable letting things unfold, you demonstrate faith in your own value. Machiavelli believed that patience unnerves those who rely on urgency. Urgency reveals fear of loss. Rejection should never damage your identity. If it does, it means you attached your worth to another person's response. That is a dangerous position. Seduction begins only after self-worth is detached from validation. When rejection no longer threatens you, it loses its power. And paradoxically, that is when attraction often increases. Control of narrative is subtle. You do not argue your value. You live it. You do not defend accusations. You let behavior speak. Defensiveness lowers status. Calm disagreement maintains it. When you do not fight to be understood, people try harder to understand you. The strongest emotional leverage is not intensity, but consistency. Anyone can be intense for a moment. Very few can remain grounded over time. Grounded men feel rare in a world addicted to reaction. Rarity creates desire. Desire creates pursuit. Your life must be the main story. When a woman enters it, she should feel like an addition, not a rescue. People are attracted to movement, direction, and purpose. When you are walking towards something meaningful, others naturally walk beside you without being asked. Machiavellian wisdom teaches that influence is invisible. The moment you can see it, it is already weakened. Seduction works the same way. If she feels pushed, it fails. If she feels drawn, it succeeds. Drawing requires stillness. Stillness requires inner order. Never confuse kindness with weakness. Kindness chosen freely is strength. Kindness used to gain approval as manipulation disguised as generosity. Women feel the difference instinctively. One feels safe. The other feels heavy. In the end, seduction is not about women at all. It is about mastery of self. When you master your emotions, your time, your attention, and your purpose, attraction becomes a byproduct. You stop chasing outcomes and outcomes start circling you. The ultimate Machiavellian lesson is this: the man who needs nothing controls everything, and the man who controls himself becomes unforgettable. The man who understands seduction stops trying to impress and starts allowing others to discover. Discovery feels earned. Anything handed freely is rarely valued. When you reveal yourself slowly, not strategically but naturally, people lean in. They listen more closely. They pay attention to details. Attention is the doorway to attachment. Emotional independence is deeply unsettling to people who rely on validation. When you are not easily swayed by praise or criticism, you create imbalance. That imbalance forces recalibration. A woman begins to wonder where she stands, not because you demand it, but because your center does not move. Humans are drawn to stable reference points, especially in emotional uncertainty. Most men sabotage attraction by narrating their intentions. They explain what they feel, what they want, where things are going. Explanation removes tension. Tension is not anxiety, it is anticipation. Anticipation is pleasurable. When everything is explained, nothing is imagined. And when nothing is imagined, desire fades. A grounded man lets actions speak quietly over time. He does not rush to label, define, or secure. He allows ambiguity to breathe. Ambiguity creates curiosity, and curiosity keeps emotional doors open. Machiavelli warned against revealing plans too early. The same applies to desire. Once declared, it loses its power to pull. You must also understand withdrawal. Withdrawal is not punishment. It is self-regulation. When energy is not reciprocated, you step back without resentment. No speeches, no ultimatums, no emotional displays. This communicates abundance. The disciplined man senses when to lean in and when to let space do the work. Space is not absence. Space is invitation. You must become comfortable with unresolved moments. Not every silence needs filling. Not every expression needs response. When you can sit calmly inside uncertainty, others project meaning onto you. Projection is powerful because it feels personal. People fall in love with their own interpretations. You simply allow them the space to create them. Many men fear losing interest, so they overcompensate with consistency. But attraction does not need constant stimulation. It needs emotional peaks followed by calm valleys. Emotional rhythm keeps the connection alive. Flat energy kills desire faster than distance ever could. There is strength in being selective with vulnerability. Revealing everything too soon removes polarity. Polarity creates charge. Charge creates attraction. When you share selectively, you give weight to your words. Weight makes moments memorable. Memorability creates attachment. A man who respects his own boundaries teaches others how to treat him without ever saying a word. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They allow what aligns and block what drains. When you enforce boundaries calmly without anger or explanation, you signal high self-worth. Self-worth is felt before it is understood. Machiavellian insight reminds us that people test limits unconsciously, not to dominate, but to locate structure. When you hold structure without rigidity, you become a safe emotional anchor. Anchors are rare. Rare things are valued. Avoid emotional bargaining. Never trade attention for affection. Never trade compliance for closeness. These exchanges create imbalance. Balanced dynamics feel natural. Natural dynamics last. Lasting attraction is built on mutual respect, not emotional debt. The man who is emotionally grounded does not chase reassurance. He does not need constant confirmation. His certainty comes from alignment, not approval. This certainty subtly influences others. People trust those who trust themselves. When interest fades, let it fade gracefully. Grace under loss elevates status. Loss handled poorly stains perception. Loss handled calmly increases intrigue. Sometimes what brings someone back is not pursuit, but the memory of how composed you were when things ended. Your energy should feel intentional, not rushed, not scattered. not scattered. Intentional energy communicates direction. Direction implies leadership. Leadership in attraction is about emotional guidance, not control. You lead by example, not by force. Do not seek intensity for its own sake. Intensity without depth burns quickly. Depth without intensity grows slowly but lasts. Sustainable attraction is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. Machiavelli favored endurance over spectacle. Seduction follows the same law. A man who does not define himself through conquest becomes magnetic. When women sense that you are not collecting validation but living purposefully, their curiosity shifts from surface attraction to emotional investment. Investment grows where there is meaning. In the end, the greatest seduction is self-command. Command your reactions. Command your time. Command your standards. When you do, your presence carries weight, and anything with weight bends the emotional space around it. That is the final illusion shattered. Seduction is not something you chase. It is something that follows a man who has mastered himself. At a certain level of awareness, you stop seeing attraction as something emotional and start seeing it as something energetic. Energy is exchanged before words are processed. Long before logic enters, the nervous system decides. A man who is settled within himself means a signal of calm authority. Authority soothes, and what soothes also attracts because it promises relief from inner noise. Most people live reactively. They are pulled by moods, messages, and momentary feelings. A man who lives deliberately stands apart without trying. Deliberateness shows in how you choose your words, how you manage your time, and how little you explain yourself. Explanation is for those seeking permission. Direction is for those who already know their path. Seduction deepens when you allow others to come toward you at their own pace. When you pull, they resist. When you hold, they approach. This is not a trick, it is human nature. People protect their autonomy instinctively. When your presence does not threaten it, curiosity replaces defense. You must also accept emotional asymmetry. Sometimes interest will be unequal. Do not rush to correct it. Imbalance reveals information. Information gives clarity. Clarity allows choice. Choice is power. Machiavellian thinking values information above comfort because comfort hides truth. A man who can enjoy connection without clinging enjoys true freedom. Freedom is magnetic because it cannot be taken away. The moment someone senses they cannot trap or control you emotionally, they experience both respect and fascination. Respect anchors attraction. Fascination fuels it. Avoid the illusion of urgency. Urgency is rarely real. It is usually fear disguised as importance. A man who moves without urgency appears timeless. Timelessness feels powerful because it suggests depth beyond the moment. Depth invites exploration. When you speak, let your words land fully. Do not stack sentences to secure reactions. One clear thought delivered calmly carries more weight than 10 rushed ideas. Weight slows interactions down. Slowness increases awareness. Awareness heightens emotion. You do not need to create drama to feel alive. Drama is for those who confuse stimulation with connection. Connection is quiet. It grows in moments of shared stillness. A man who can be still with someone without becoming restless creates a rare bond. Machiavellian wisdom teaches that control is strongest when invisible. The same is true in attraction. When your influence cannot be traced to a tactic, it feels natural. When it feels natural, it is trusted. Trust is the gateway to deeper desire. Be careful with over-accessibility. Easy access lowers perceived value, not because of arrogance, but because effort creates meaning. When your time must be earned through mutual respect, it becomes cherished. Cherished attention binds more deeply than constant availability ever could. Your emotional tone should remain steady across situations. Highs and lows create instability. Stability creates safety. Safety allows others to invest emotionally without fear. Emotional investment is the real prize, not attention. A man who does not fear being alone never feels rushed to settle. This patience refines his choices. Refined choices elevate his presence. Presence felt as intentional becomes unforgettable. When attraction ends, let it end cleanly. No bitterness, no negotiation, no emotional residue. Clean endings preserve dignity. Dignity lingers in memory. Memory shapes future perception. Ultimately, seduction is not about controlling another person's feelings. It is about removing everything within yourself that distorts natural attraction. When fear, need, and impatience are stripped away, what remains is clarity. Clarity attracts clarity. And this is where the deepest truth rests. The man who governs himself becomes a mirror. In that mirror, others see the version of themselves they wish to become. And people are irresistibly drawn to those who reflect their highest potential.